We do.
Woo!
I didn't agree with that.
We get paid for it.
Alrighty, so there are 3 main things we're looking at when we're grading poop. So one is the consistency, so how hard or soft it is. One is the shape, and mainly, does it have a shape? And 3 is moisture level. So is it very dry? Is it very watery? That sort of thing. Alright, so a grade 1 poop. These are going to be very hard pellets. They're going to be very dry. The pet is probably going to have trouble passing them, or may seem uncomfortable, may take them a minute. It's not like an emergency, but it's not considered a normal poop.
So it's not an emergency. What causes a grade 1 poop?
So they may not have a lot of water. They may not be drinking a ton is probably going to be the main factor. Especially if they're on a kibble diet where they're not getting any moisture, and if they're not drinking a lot of water, that's probably why this is going to happen.
Should we be, what's the concern level? I know you said it's not an emergency.
It's more if they're uncomfortable.
Okay.
So it's more like if they're pooping and it seems like it's hard for them, let us know.
Okay.
Otherwise, if it's one time they pop out super easily, the pet doesn't seem bothered, then you guys can keep an eye on it. But if the pet seems painful when they're passing them, definitely let us know.
Is there a concern for dehydration?
If it was repeated really hard poops, yes. But if it's one, then it's probably just they didn't have enough water maybe the day before or that morning, that sort of thing.
Okay.
If they consistently are passing super firm dry poops, let us know and we can check them out and see if they are dehydrated. A grade 2 is pretty much a perfect poop. So a grade 2 is going to be firm but not dry. It's going to be segmented, so it almost looks like a bunch of grade 1s, but they're hooked together. And when you pick it up, it's not going to leave a residue, and it's going to keep its shape. So there's 2 good examples of segmented poops. The one on the left, there is something that's not normal about it. Can somebody tell me what's not normal?
The stuff that looks like it's on the right, the right side.
It's like food.
Carrots.
No, actually no. That part I don't mind.
Oh,
it's something small.
The ones?
There's a bunch. Exactly. Yeah. So all those little white rice-like things, and it's a lot easier to see up close on the picture than it is to see on the big screen. Those are tapeworm segments. And we'll talk we'll touch on tapeworm a little bit later. But the rice-like ones are typically little tapeworm segments. But I liked the way that the shape was, so I kept that one. A grade 3 poop is they're gonna be logs, but rather than being segmented, they're gonna have more creases, if that makes sense. So you guys can kind of if you want to see a close up, look on your thing. But a 2 is gonna be a segmented poop. A 3 is gonna have these little indentations into it. It might leave a little bit of residue, but it's still going to maintain its form. And it's going to be maybe a little more moist than a grade 2. Really perfect poops are 2s and 3s. Both I would consider very normal. A grade 4 poop. So this is going to be a smooth log. So now we're getting away. This is fun. Now we're getting away from it having segments or creases or anything like that. Maintains its shape, but it does leave residue, and again, it might be a little more moist than a grade 3. Really, grade 2 and 3 are perfect. Grade 4, I'm still not worried about it. That's just something to keep an eye on because you want to just make sure it doesn't devolve into a 5, 6, or 7. A grade 5 is going to be mushy, yet have a shape. It might have a little bit of liquid in it, and it's soft serve. This is the soft serve poop when we say a poop looks like soft serve. It doesn't say it on there. It's definitely going to leave debris though. You do want to let us know about this, but it's not. Leave a comment, but again, I would monitor this. If we had this in the middle of 2 perfect poops, and then we had 2 more perfect poops, and then another one of these, I don't care. But if it's 3 in a row, then we care a little bit more.
Okay.
A grade 6 is going to be a mushy poop. So it's liquidy to slightly formed. It's not all liquid. It's going to be really mushy. It's difficult to pick up, but it does have some texture to it.
It'd be like mashed potatoes.
Gross. Yes. Yes.
Nice.
Actually a perfect way to explain that. And grade 7.
Wow.
Liquid. You cannot pick it up. That is a true grade 7. Unless it's straight liquid, it is not considered a 7. What else is in the stool that's weird?
Blood.
Yeah, good job. Alrighty, so some common, these are not all of the causes, but these are common causes of diarrhea. One would be parasites. So Giardia, coccidia, worms, all the different kinds. Some you see, some you don't. Dietary indiscretion, they might be getting a different food here or something than they would at home. Stress. We have a really nervous dog. It's just like people, when you're nervous, you get a stomachache sometimes. That's just like dogs. And if they've eaten something weird. It's the last one is if they eat something weird, we're normally gonna see like vomiting or them not eating, but it can cause diarrhea too.
Can antibiotics for dogs cause diarrhea?
So they can. I mean, probably the two only ones that won't cause diarrhea that I can think of off the top of my head are metronidazole and Tylenol, because those are diarrhea treating antibiotics. They're for the gut. But you can see tummy upset with other types of antibiotics. It's not super common, I would say, but just adding any new medication can cause their tummy to be upset and manifest as diarrhea. Okay, so other stool attributes that you might see. I know, it looks great. Mucus. So mucus serves a purpose, and it is to coat the GI tract from invaders. So if there is some sort of weird bacteria in the gut, they might, your gut is potentially going to make some mucus to help protect itself. And it can be, I didn't put this in here, but it's really gross. It can be clear mucus. It can be opaque. This is a little bit more like part of it's clear, part of it's opaque. It's kind of hard to see up on the big screen. You can also have chunky mucus, which is gross. If the sample is like 50% or more covered in mucus, let us know. If it's a perfectly normal stool covered in mucus, we'll probably monitor, but you guys can make us aware. If there's just a little bit on like one end of it, we don't need to know that. That's okay. But you might see that.
What if it's like, I've seen it where the mucus literally comes out like, let's say D6, and then there's like a pile of mucus.
Let us know. I mean, because it's D6, so we want to know that anyway. So definitely, you can put that in your comm too.
Okay,
like
I definitely
D6 with mucus. Yeah.
At some point, I thought that my first time I ever saw that, funny story, I thought it was an actual intestine. The lining of the intestine. I was like,
it is gross. Dying. It is gross. Mucus is one of the hardest things to like figure out if what you're seeing is mucus or not in food, because poop is just gross looking anyway. So, another thing you might see in stool is blood. So this can actually be present in a healthy animal if it's a small amount, and an unhealthy animal. On the left side, that is bright red blood. We often call it frank blood.
Why?
And I don't know. I have no answer for why they call it
like Frankenstein?
No. Maybe. No, I think it's just like it's obvious
Frank's
blood.
hot sauce?
Frank's hot sauce. Yes, that's what I'm going to think of now. Bright red blood typically comes from the lower GI tract. So you are looking at like the very end of your GI tract. Usually that happens because sometimes they push too hard. Or something like that. Or sometimes if their intestines at the end are a little bit irritated because they've been like pooping a lot or having diarrhea, you might see a little bright red blood. Typically it's actually not an emergency if it's really bright red, but still let us know. On the right though, dark red blood. And it might look black, it might look tarry, like thick, and it could look like coffee grounds. That's blood that has been digested. So that's coming from higher up. So if we see that, that is considered very urgent. You'd want to let us know and even probably verbalize it to us instead of just leaving a comm. It's not often that you're going to see that, but does anybody know just there are two types of medications you don't want to give together because they can cause that. Does anybody know the answer to this one?
Is it Medicam? No, Medicam. I know Medicam can cause that.
And what don't you give it with? An anti-inflammatory, a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory you do not give with what type of medication?
Another steroid?
With a steroid, because it's not a steroid. So
yeah.
Medicam's not a steroid.
Correct.
So you don't want to give an NSAID with a steroid. It can cause ulcers. So that is why, like, on the label for meloxicam, it says, like, do not give with any steroids. And I think on our steroid labels, it says do not give with NSAIDs. And often it'll manifest in this. And sometimes Metacam on its own can cause this. It's rare, but it's usually when it's given with a steroid, which it shouldn't be. So that is considered an emergency. That is considered a let us know, but we'll keep an eye on it.
For the really dark these guys, is it good if we get like a stool sample for you guys?
It doesn't hurt to. It's not going to be caused by parasites, so it's not like we'll send it out. But then at least we can look at it and we can tell it, because sometimes it is hard to tell. Is it a really dark brown stool or is it bloody?
Yeah.
So sometimes if you bring in a sample, we can kind of mess with it and see if we are getting blood out of it. So yeah, if you're ever in doubt, just have somebody bring it in, have somebody put eyes on it.
Is that why when because I've seen it where we've stopped the Medicam immediately because of that diarrhea, and it's because there is typically an ulcer, and then we treat the ulcer?
Or it could be starting. It's not always going to be like a full-blown ulcer that's happened, but it could be like a developing one.
And in that sense, would you end up using, what is it, the pink, shaky...
Sucralfate?
Sucralfate, yes,
like,
thank you.
Yes. So sucralfate is a medication that works to coat the esophagus and the stomach. That's why also when you give it, it needs to be given apart from other meds, because you don't want to give it with something, it'll stop whatever else you're giving from absorbing, because it is meant to coat and protect the stomach. So often if they do have this, we start them on that. We want to coat and protect the stomach and make it healthy again. Alrighty, the third thing you might see, and I spared you guys from real pictures.
You should have definitely done real pictures on this one.
Gross.
How am I supposed to know what I'm supposed to do?
I hate worms. We can look at them after this, but I hate worms in school. So a lot of them look alike, but the biggest difference is going to be the length. So a roundworm is like spaghetti. It's going to be long.
Is that one whole worm?
Looks like it.
No, I think it's a bundle.
I see
There's multiple. But it's gonna look like spaghetti. A whipworm is gonna be about 2 to 3 inches. I don't usually see whipworms. Hookworms are gonna be smaller, and then tapeworms. So that is what an intact tapeworm looks like, but it doesn't come out like that. But you're gonna see them looking like rice. Typically.
So when they come out of the poop, are they already dead because they've been broken apart?
Nope.
Oh,
They're
they're
still
still alive.
alive.
Look, I have no explanation as to why they're gross.
That's because they're worms.
They're not always dead.
So all of these will come out of poop.
They
They
can
can.
potentially be in poop.
What's the likelihood of? Because I know we see tapeworms really often, and dogs get tapeworms because of fleas, because they eat the eggs. But
let other people answer the questions that I was gonna ask.
Oh, are you gonna ask?
Yeah. Did everybody get that? Tapeworms are caused by them ingesting a flea. That is the only way. They're not gonna pick it up from another pet. They're ingesting a flea, and that is how tapeworms happen. But anyway, I'm sorry. Finish your question.
Because I don't think I've ever seen hookworms or whipworms or roundworms in poop.
It's rare.
Is it?
It's a lot less common.
So then how would somebody know if their pet had that? Was there a blood test that's done?
Fecal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so just for your guys' knowledge too, when we send out a stool sample for a fecal, they are looking at it under a microscope, and they're looking for eggs more than anything. But you're not going to see the others as commonly. Tapeworms are very common because fleas are very common. And so when we see tapeworms, we deworm if we see any of them. With tapeworms, though, we deworm and we make sure they're on a monthly flea prevention to make sure that they can't pick them up again. Okay.
What's the range of caution from roundworm to tapeworm?
So roundworm can actually be transmitted to people, so you do want to be more cautious with those. Tapeworms, I cannot. They are species specific. But you can catch, I think, round, whip, and hook as a person. Hookworm, I think, is the one that goes under your skin.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah,
that
it's
hookworms
gross.
can bury up in your
It's called
teeth.
larva migrans or something, where it can so you'll never want to go barefoot outside again on grass. So you can
100.
get them on your feet, and then they will travel up your body. They're
Like,
really
as if
gross.
you were to just put it on top of your hand, it would dig through your hand to try to.
And it's really gross. So don't go barefoot. Don't ever. And don't wear your shoes in your house.
True.
That's why
Don't wear your shoes in your house?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can
Keep
travel
your
them on
floors
something.
clean.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's why.
This is why I leave my work shoes at home.
Yeah.
At work.
At
Yeah,
work.
I just leave mine right at the door. I'm like, I don't even want you near me. So, yeah, parasites are really gross. We actually had one of the parasite companies come in and do a lunch and learn, and they told us all this, and I was like, oh my god,
So
this is gross.
keep your shoes at the door.
Yep, and don't walk where animals poop, which is pretty much any outdoor grass. Alright, so now we are gonna grade some poop. Woo. What do we think this guy is? And you guys can use your little cheat sheets if you.
5.
Grade 5? That's a great question. I have them in front of me. I'm so bad. So let's see.
It's like a 5.
It's a 5. Because it looks just like soft serve. There's no it's like your soft serve ice cream. What do we want to grade this guy?
Normal poo.
Is a grade 2.
2.
Very good. That's a great poop. Firm and segmented.
This is so fun.
What do we want to grade this guy?
3. 3.
Yeah. So it's a smooth log. You know, it's very smooth. Has a couple of little creases. What do we grade in this one? 6. Okay. All right. 6. Yep. So it's just mush, but it has a form. It's
It looks
gross.
like cow poo.
It does. It really could be.
There's some mucus in there.
Yeah.
And potentially
Is
some
it
blood.
enough to tell me about it?
No.
Okay. Yep.
And there's probably some little blood at the end of one of that tip of it.
Oh, I didn't see that part. Maybe.
Right?
So that's a grade 5. No, I don't think so. In this
No?
pic, that's very clear picture.
Oh, okay.
Nope. I would say
That would be like
4
a
or 5.
3.
it's a smooth log. That's a grade 4. There's no creases.
No creases.
I'm getting 4 and 5 mixed up.
Straight 7.
No, that's a 6. There's some
Six,
chunks.
yeah.
There's some
There's a
chunks.
form on the
6 and 7.
So
6
yes.
is max.
So I think I put 6, but honestly, I would say 6 with 7. Like you could
But
definitely.
75% of it is more chunkier than the rest.
yeah.
I still don't like the very. I mean, I graded it a 6. But if you
Yes.
guys were like, it's a 6 to a 7, I would see why, because of the other kind of third of it.
Yes.
Is gross.
There's also dark blood in it,
Yeah,
or it's
that's
just blood.
Yes. So, well, I actually don't think that this part is. It's a lot lighter on my screen, but on this side there is blood around that. That is more red on my screen than it
Would
is.
there be a situation, or have you come across a situation where you have that dark, high GI tract blood with that also lower tract light blood? Or do those just not exist together?
I mean, you probably could, because basically it's like the top of the GI tract is upset. You could also irritate the lower GI tract if they've been having soft stools or diarrhea consistently. So you could see both in a sample.
Okay.
What do we
I
want
was
to grade
reading it while I was
this
looking.
guy?
3.
I think I agreed. Let's see. I think I said, yeah, because there's the little creases into it.
They're very minimal.
Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah.
That was fun. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
Thank you,
So-
Hunter.
No worries.
No, thank you.